Good morning, everybody. Let us start our lecture today. So we were discussing array, one-dimensional array. So what is an array? An array, otherwise is called a list, is a linear data structure. Okay, that is used to hold. Used to declare a number of variables with a common name. Thus, an array can hold a number of similar or homogeneous data. Okay, so the main purpose of declaration or of using an array is that our program will be easier to maintain and coding and also faster. Okay, so we discussed how to declare an array, so and then how to access array elements with index. So in pseudocode, if we declare an array by writing like create this keyword followed by the arrow name and followed by angle bracket. So by this angle bracket we know that this is an array. So within the angle bracket we put the size of the array. So if we say my array 7, then what we get an array name my array that will take place in consecutive memory, 7 consecutive memory location. So the indices, these are indices 0 to 6. Okay, so each of this cell or each of the cell will contain each element of an array. The cell size depends on memory size of data type. So if our array is declared, for instance, it is an integer type array, so then each of the cell will take 4 memory bytes, right? So then 7 cells will take 7 times 4, 28 consecutive memory bytes. So we discussed how to declare an array in Java, C++, and also C#. So language to language, array declaration is slightly different. So there are some differences, like how to declare an array in Java, in C#, and C++, and for instance other languages like Python. Slightly there are some differences. So here in Java and C# we can declare an array like this: int with this is array symbol, then array name equal to new int, this is the array size. So in Java and C# we can give this symbol just right after the type or in between type and array name, or before the array name like this, or after the array name. Okay, it is okay. But C# does not allow that. C# it does not allow to keep the array size over here, array symbol over here, it does not allow. So people who are taking C++, give attention please. Okay, I will come back here later. And in this array, my array will take 5 consecutive memory locations. Its size is 5. So here this is unassigned. These variables, each elements are unassigned. So initially in Java and C#, if we keep it unassigned, then usually it takes 0. All of the elements takes 0. Okay, but there is another way. So if we want to, so if it is unassigned, then later we can use statement to assign values for this array element. So for instance, if I say my array index 0, that the first element will be 10. If I say 10, then first element will be 10. Okay, and later we can assign other elements, but there is a way, like this way, if I want to declare an array and at the same time we want to assign values for each of their elements, like this way. In this case, the array size will be determined by the number of the elements. So here 5 number of elements, right? So array size will be by default 5. So there is a little bit difference between Java and C#. Okay. So if you do like this way, if we declare this way, Java does not allow you to put the size here. Java wants to determine the size by itself, but C# allows this. In C# you can allow this, okay, but you have to be careful about the size. You cannot exceed the size must match in C#, okay. And in C++ again, that it is the size, okay. In C++ does not allow you to use like equal to new int, this format, okay. And also this is common for all languages. Okay. In C++ we can assign values. For instance, the first element will be 10, second element 20, third element 30, 40, like this, okay. But C++ also assign you to keep it blank, so it will assign the size 5 by default, and it also allows, C++ also allows you to make it exceed the length. For instance, you can make it 10. So in that case, the remaining elements will be 0 by default. So C++ people who are taking C++, give attention here. If you take code this way, array size is greater than the elements you do have, then the remaining element, after 5 elements, the remaining elements will be assigned to 0 each. Okay, but you cannot give less element over here. You cannot give less size. So you have 5 elements, at least you have to give 5, or you can give more, okay. The remaining element, 45 elements here, will be 0. Yes.
So with 5 elements, and you're declaring 50 elements, so you're stating that elements 6 through 50 will automatically be 0?
Yes. So let us see. So this is the thing, that these are the critical. So I am telling that the array decoration and assignments is a little bit different language to language. Yes.
So that's only for C++?
Yes, this is for C++. I will go through code. Okay, so instead of keeping this ambiguous, I will show you with some live programs. Okay, so give me 1 minute, please. So then later we discussed how to assign or use array elements. So by using index, right? We discussed how to assign values. So we access the array elements by using index. So one thing that we need to remember, that I mentioned, that the array index starts with 0. In most programming languages, there are few languages that array index start with 1. Like one of the languages I know, that was Scratch. Array index start with 1. Okay, so in our last lecture, I went through half of the slides, maybe until slide number 40. Okay, so these are pretty easy. That I think today's lecture I want to discuss with some live programs. Okay. So if you lose your attention in today's lecture, you may lose some points in your upcoming test. Okay, so better please give attention whatever I discuss. Otherwise you may lose some points if you lose your attention. Okay, So I've already added some programs in an array example with Java, C#, and C++. So if you go to my Replit account, and you will see all of these programs, right? So then you can copy and you can practice. Okay, so let me discuss what I was discussing here. First, let me go with Java. I'm sorry, it's taking time to load it. I don't know. So internet speed is slow. Okay, where is getting? Okay, so this is a simple decoration of an array. This is applicable for all languages: C++, Java, and C# as well as. So once we declare an array, so then it's easy to print out. Like for instance, if I say I want to print the first element, so then I will print like this way, right? First element which marks 0, right? Okay, and if I want to print the second element, then what do I need to change over here? 1. Okay, remember that the first elements always start with 0 index. Okay, so if I run my program, then okay, so if I want to print the last element, what should I put over here? Index what in this case? Yes, in this case, do not get trapped that index is not 5, so index will be 4. Okay, yes.
Can you also put -1?
Yeah, I will discuss this. Yeah, remind me please. Okay, so this is simple. Okay, first element is 23, so it is 23. Second element is 54, and third element, okay, last element is 65. Okay, so now if I want to replace the first element by something else, for instance, I want to replace the first element by 10, what should I do? Can anyone please help me?
Mark.
Okay, mark what, then what?
Bracket 0.
Okay, bracket, within bracket 0, right? Okay, equal to 10. Done? Semicolon. Yes, thank you. So okay, so if I want to make the last element 50, then I need to put 4, and then last element is my 50. So in that case, if I run my program, then first element will not be 23, it will be 10, and the last element will be 50. So first element is 10 and last element is 50, right? It's pretty easy.
So if you want the middle one to be a random number, it would just...
And you, so like this way, as long as you are within range, you can change any value. But what happens if you want to change the sixth element, for instance, with index 5? You will get an exception. Okay, so in most languages like Java has an exception. It is called array out of bound exception. It will show that array exception, array index out of bound exception. So you will learn more about exception, how to handle exception. Exception is a runtime error, mainly unexpected error. So if you take 1322 next course, then you will learn how to handle exceptions. Yes.
So if you want the second element to be a number, would it be 1 or 2?
Okay, so if you want to make the second element, so what is the second element index? that is a trap. Okay, remember the second element index will be always 1. So if I want to my second element as 20, then it will give me 10, 20, 50, 45 and 50. This is the second element. Okay, so this is the trap. The second element will index is always 1 number of. Okay, some languages like Python allows you to put negative index. Okay, so in Python, if you would say negative -1, if you print in Python, if you want to print -1, it would show you the last element. In Python, in some languages like Python, it starts with -1, -2, -3, reverse order. Okay, but Java does not allow to use negative, and C++ and C# does not allow you to put negative. Okay, negative means you start from the last one. Python allows it, okay, but not all languages allow this, so I cannot do it in. Okay, anyone has any questions so far? So instead, so these statements are exactly same, but I added some string literals with plus sign to give just output that this is that and that. Okay, this is same. Okay, so instead of printing or accessing all of the array elements one by one, like using a hard-coded index, there is an efficient way to handle all of or access array elements by using a loop like for loop. So if we use for loop, we start with index from 0, since our array index is 0, and then if we go through the last index and if we increment the index by 1, it is same for even if I do ++1 or I++1, no problem. So I can write only one statement like this, only one statement, so that my index will be iterated by I. So only one line of statements I can use to do this. Okay, so here there is a way. So here we see that, okay, one thing that in that here we want to mark. So this is a way, this is common way to declare an array in all languages, and we are discussing C++, C# and Java, but Java has one symbol, one way, another way to declare an array like this. Here let us see, okay, let us give attention after this boundary. Okay, I give a boundary, just let us give attention to this code only. Okay, so here, so I assigned I created an array named marks. The previous one was mark singular, but here it is marks plural. Okay, so if I want to loop through this, so I see that I have length 5, right? So if I go through manually by I less than 5, then it works. So I equal to 0 to I less than 5. I less than 5 is equivalent to I less or equal to 4, right? Since integer number, so less than 5 is equivalent to less or equal to 4. Okay. So if I run this program, it should show me this value. So let us focus after this boundary. Okay, this one. Okay, but instead of finding the length, writing the length manually, there is a way to find the length of an array. In Java, it has an attribute, length attribute. We can use this. Okay, so like for instance marks.length, that will help us to find the length of this array. So if I print like this, length of marks array equal to, so L, right? I put L equal to, or marks dot length, whatever you put, that I means L means mark dot length. If I put run over here, then what will be my length over here? 5, right? So you see length is 5. So instead of hard coded value over here, I can give like this, mark dot length over here. Okay, and it will do same thing. Okay, but in Java, C# allows us to put the I'm sorry, you see that I did a mistake over here, so it should be, okay, if I put equal sign over here, then I must need to use -1. Okay, if I put equal sign, then I need to put less than -1. Okay, what is easy to use, if I run this, it should run. And then if I want not to use this -1, then what I need to do, I must need to use the one less than, get rid of equal sign. Okay, now people who are taking C# lab, give attention please. In C#, it is allowed to put, what is the size over here for this array? 5, right? Okay, Java even does not allow you, if you declare this way, to put the size over here. Java does not allow you. So if you want to do this, it should show an error. Okay, it does not allow you to give this size. Okay, but in C#, I have a similar code in C# over here, similar program. Similar in C#, it will allow you to give size. So if I run this program, it should work. Okay, so C# people who are taking C#, give attention here please. C# allows you to I'm sorry, I have a console.read key. So we are focusing only this part or output. Okay, so C# allows you to give the size over here, or you can write it like in Java format, keep it blank. Okay, then it will work also. So this is a difference between C# and Java array decoration. Okay, but keep attention please, C# people. But if you want to put array size over here, then exactly you should match it. So you cannot give 6. You cannot exceed the length in C#. Okay, so if you put 6, then it will show you an error. Okay, even if you give, so it's showing an error. So if you give 4, then still you will get an error. That is difference between C#, one difference between C# and Java array decoration. Okay, exactly you need to match your size, or exactly you need to put exact size or match, or keep it blank. Okay, another thing that in C#, L is in uppercase, length. The attribute L is in uppercase for C#. Okay, people who are taking C#, please give attention. Okay, so if I want to print a length of an array in C#, then we need to put L is in uppercase over here, otherwise it will not work. So anyone has any question? So we got, yes.
Can we also add the variable in that area? We declaring the variable?
Variable, what do you mean by
Size.
variable? Here? Here?
No, up where you're declaring the.
Here? L?
No, up.
Up?
Right there where 5 is, can you put the variable in there that you're gonna enter? Like an integer number, like say if I.
Say size. So for instance, if I have another variable like, okay, it's like declare a variable like static int final size equal to 5. You want to do this?
Yep.
Then you can, yes, if you make, as long as if you declare a constant, like this is a constant decoration, then you can put this size over here. I'm sorry, what is the unexpected? Is IGE does not allow you?
Static is complete about static.
Huh? No, static, it should static final. I will check it again, okay? So I will do some research on it. Java, it should allow you. In Java, it should be okay. Static final size. Okay, Java does not allow you to put size over here. Okay, that's good. I thought it would allow me, that is not. I will do some research on it. Okay, thank you for raising this question. Okay, so people who are taking C#, give attention over here, so that we need to the attribute, length attribute, L is in uppercase in C#. Now people who are taking C++, give more attention please. Okay, in C++ is more flexible, but there is something difficult and critical also. So one thing that in C++ I can do like this way. I can do, so this is common for all languages, and then if I run this program, it should work. Okay, and here in C++, I have 5 elements. So even if I do not give the size, okay, if I do not give the size, what happens? It will also calculate the size 5. Okay, but what happens if I give more than 5, for instance 10 elements?
There's 0 after the first 5.
Yes, although we saw that other languages C# did not allow, other languages may not allow this, but in C++ the remaining elements will be 0 over here. Okay, so this is C++ people, give attention here. Okay, now let us see. So this is easy for C++, but one thing is difficult, is little bit difficult for C++, how to calculate the size of an array. Okay, calculating the size of an array in C++ or C languages is a little bit different, and it is critical. So here, if we use the size of method with C++ does not have length attribute. Okay, can I see int length equal to marks dot length? I'm not sure.
Mark is spelled wrong.
Okay.
I think 18th is misspelled.
LENGTH. I think even I spelled this correctly, it does not have length. So C++ actually has size of, has a method is called size of, But if you put size of marks, then it will give the size of the entire array. So as you know that a few seconds ago I mentioned that if we declare an array like this, so what will be size of my array here? So if it is integer type, so this cell will take 4 bytes, this cell will take 4 bytes, and 4 4 4 4 7 times 4 equal to 28. Okay, so the size of method, it calculates the size of the entire array. Okay, so if I want to find the size, actual size, how many elements I count, then size of the array, so then I need to, if I say size of marks, then it will be 5 times 4, right? 20, right? So let me give C out. Size of marks equal to size of marks. Okay, so if I do like this way, it will print me 20. It will print me 20. Okay, and if I want to print size of each of the elements, so size of marks, for instance 0. Okay, marks 0, it will print me 4 because each integer type takes 4 bytes, right? So then array length, will be this size of array plus divided by size of marks element, right? So the array length will be, in C++ it is a little bit different. The array length will be like this: size of marks divided by size of marks 0 or 1, any value we can put. We already counted this, so it will be L. So here now we should get L equal to 5. Now once I get L equal to 5, then I can trace the elements, right? So C++ people, okay, so give attention over here. And also, as I discussed, that I can give more size for over here, 10. So in this case my array length will be 10, right? So this will be 10 times 4, 40, and then 4, and then 40 divided by 4 equal to 10. Size of marks, entire size of marks. So anyone has any question, especially C++ people? You see that in C++ you can exceed this length, because whatever the remaining value will be assigned to 0. Okay, so far so good. It is good. Okay. So now we know how to find the length of an array, right? In all languages, in C++ and in C#, and also in Java. We know that, right? So we will use this knowledge to loop through an array. So let us go another example. How many minutes I do have?
11.
11 minutes. Okay, if I spend 10 minutes, then I should be fine. Okay, for the next 10 minutes, if you lose your attention, you may lose some points in your test. Okay, so we know that we have an array here. Replace the code over here. Okay, so we already know how to do this. So we have an array with 5 elements, and we know how to find the array length, and we know how to traverse the array by length, right? Okay, now let us think that we want to find sum of the elements. Sum of the elements in this array. So what should we do? We need a variable like integer type. Since the elements are integer types, so then the sum will be an integer number. So we need a variable integer type, and then sum. Let me put it sum, and we need to initialize. It must be initialized with 0. Whenever, remember that whenever you want to find summation of something, you need to initialize your variable with 0. Otherwise, you may get some garbage value in some languages. So then what do I need to do? I want to find the sum of this plus this plus this plus this plus this. Okay, let me make it simple. So instead of doing, okay, no. What do I need to do? Can anyone help me, please? This is same for all languages. Yes.
Make the for loop.
Within for loop, I have to update sum, right? So what should I type in here?
Sum plus equals
Sum plus equal
marks bracket 0 or I
this.
semicolon.
Exactly this. Thank you so much, and it should work. Okay. So this statement is equal. I'm sorry, I didn't. Okay, so now I got sum, but I did not print sum, right? So where should I need to print the sum?
Outside the loop.
Yes, outside the loop. I need to print. Okay. Just outside the loop. If I say sum of the array elements equal to what I should put here over here? Sum. Okay, so like this statement is equivalent to what? Sum equal to sum plus marks I, right? Okay, so it may be this 237 is the sum of this. Let me make it simple. If I say 10, 20, 30, 40 and 50, it should print as 100, 100, 150. Okay, now question, if I want to find the multiplication of the array elements, okay, then what else I need to do?
Change plus equals to times equals.
Okay, I need another variable int mult, for instance, and I need to assign that with 0. Huh? With 0 or what?
One.
Are you sure?
It would be 0.
Okay, let us put it 0. If you put it 0, it will, your multiplication will be 0, result will be 0. You must put it 1. So whenever you remember that, this is another common mistake for new programmer. If you want to multiply any number, you need to put multiplicative identity over here. Well, 1 is the multiplicative identity and 0 is the addition identity. So you must put it 0. So then what changes I need to put over here? mult mult. Then what need to change over here?
Times equals
Times equal to
1
Yes, that's it. That means mult equal to mults instead of plus times I.
So would it always be 1 or is it
Must be always. So let us see that good question, or we will review through multiplication. Yes, sir, let us see. Okay, so how about if we put 0 over here?
It'll equal 0.
Yeah, the total will be 0, right? The entire multiplication will be 0. Multiplication of the elements is 0, right? Okay, so remember that when you multiply something, when you find multiplication, you must assign with 0. Sorry, with 1. And for summation, you need to multiply it with 0. Okay, so then now it should work. Okay, how about if I do not assign this value, initialize this value?
it wouldn't do anything?
Okay. Did I get an expected result? Some languages will give you expected result, but some languages will not give. Okay. So this is a test of Kansas State University alert system. No action is needed. Okay, so you don't need to go to outside. Just only test. Okay, so he's giving me a garbage. Okay, so maybe if you run this program next time, you may find a different result for multiplication. So you're giving a different result maybe. Okay, so did you remember that? So if you want to initialize, you must initialize properly. So anyone has any questions so far?
So if it doesn't have any numbers, so if it's like int sum equals 0 and int mul equals 1, and if you don't have those 0 and 1, it'll just give you a random number?
So initially what will happen that, for instance, the multiplication, what it got an initial value. So like a garbage sometimes it gets in some languages. Like for instance, okay, if you, how the variables work. Variables take place on memory wherever it gets an empty place. For instance, how do you take seat on this classroom? Whenever you come, you find some empty space, you take place over there, right? Okay, for what will happen if there are some items already on your seat, and if you take that place, you will be misled that those are your own items or someone else stuffs, right? So that may happen, is happening for instance here. So if you do not initialize it, maybe it will get another taking a place that has already a value, not empty, not 0. So it varies language to language. Sometime or time to time it will not. You can try with your own language that you are taking with C# or Java or Python or whatever you do. Practice with this, okay? And then people who are, this code is C++. So people who are taking this code in Java or Python, you need to change only something here, just output statement, right?
Yeah.
In C#, and then Java people should able to do it, right? C# and Java people should be able to do it, right?
Yes.
Okay.
You would just change the
Yeah, change the C out to system.out.println for Java and console.writeline for C#, okay? So in your next lecture, you may have a guest lecturer over here. So you will learn something new. And by the way, you will get array questions. Whatever we are discussing today and this week, and we will discuss early next week, you will have some questions in your test 3. Okay, so but I like everybody to practice. So if you do not practice, then there is the most possibility that you will do some mistakes with array elements and then finding size. Anyone has any question so far? Okay, thank you so much.
Question. I wrote this program to input the variable. How do you delete like an entry inside of the array? Can you remove an entry? So I'm taking the class variable size, enter it in, and it creates the array size itself.
Okay.
Then I just input all the 5 numbers. But what I want to know is if I do an if statement in between here, how do I tell it to remove that variable, that entry inside the
That is the limitation of static array.
So you
You
can't
cannot
do
do
it?
it, no.
Okay.
Then you have to use array list, dynamic array.